Welcome to the Idaho Fishing Report, the only comprehensive report in the state of Idaho that was voted the #1 fishing podcast by Free Spot last year. And now, your host, Jeff Cullers. All right, yes, hey, I am Jeff Cullers. I know no fancy music this week, coming to you from the home studio. As you can see behind me, I got my NASCAR stuff, my George Strait neon sign going back there. Happy to have you along. This is the Idaho Fishing Report for the Southwest region for March 29th, 2024. Hopefully, you guys have had a great week, and this is the second report of the season, and we're just rolling right along here as spring continues to fight here, and winter's trying to hang on. Had some weird weather this week, but it's coming. Summer's coming, and fishing time's coming. But let's just jump right into that report. And we'll start with our regional updates this week. And of course, first, we're going to start over in the Magic Valley area there. So we'll start in Magic Valley. Sunset there, 8:01 p.m. Temperatures over the weekend are going to be in the mid-50s. They're going to drop down into the low 40s on Sunday. There's going to be a chance of snow even, 91% chance of rain or snow on Sunday over the Magic Valley. And then we'll see it slowly starting to creep back up into the mid-50s, even mid-60s by middle of the week next week. Winds are going to be pretty strong, double-digit all week long, especially Wednesday and Thursday. You're going to see 16 and 19 mile-an-hour winds over in that area. All right, let's head over to the Treasure Valley. We'll start over in the Mountain Home Bruno area, sunset around 8:06 p.m. We'll see high 50s through most of the week, and I'm really excited about the 70s that we're going to see first to next week. Rain's not too bad over the weekend. I will tell you this, though. If you're headed to CJ Strike or to Anderson Ranch, Sunday, they're calling for 20 mile-an-hour winds, and if you've ever been on CJ Strike in a pontoon boat, the two-dog boat, 20 mile-an-hour winds isn't fun. 17 mile-an-hour winds on Sunday. That'll die back down on Tuesday. Tuesday looks like a great day. 70 degrees for the high, 4% chance of rain, only 8 mile-an-hour wind. So if you're headed out that way, that might be your day to go. Let's look at Boise. Sunset around 8:08 p.m. starting on Friday. Kind of the same story. High 50s through Saturday. Again, 60 on Sunday, only 5% chance of rain, but strong winds, 19 mile an hour on Sunday. Again, Tuesday looks to be your best day, 69 degrees the high, sunny, no chance of rain, only 7 mile an hour wind. So if you're planning on doing some fishing over in that area, I would highly recommend Tuesday's probably going to be your best day. And we'll get into that when we get into the grade here in a little bit, and you'll understand why on that. All right, let's head up that double nickel to Cascade. 8:08 sunset up there as well. Highs in the low to mid 40s through the weekend. Not much chance of rain. Winds are pretty calm except for Sunday again. 12 mile an hour wind. Like I said, Sunday just is going to be a bad day. It's Easter Sunday. So if you're not going fishing, spend time with friends or family that day and celebrate how you want to. So 56 for the high on Tuesday. So again, the high on Tuesday, 7% chance of rain. You will see Wednesday up in Cascade, evening showers, and then Thursday, that's going to roll into snow showers. So going to be pretty cold and wet up there the later part of next week up in the Cascade area. What about over in the Snake River, the Oregon-Idaho border? Sunset there will be around 8:12 Mountain Time. Going to see highs in the upper 50s and lower 60s through the weekend. Tuesday, again, best day, 73 degrees for a high, 4% chance of rain, only 6 mile an hour winds. Evening thunderstorms on Wednesday, and then evening showers on Thursday over in that Snake River area. And that's going to do it for our for the regional update for the week of March 29th. All right, joining us as he does each and every week, the owner and creator of Tightlines 208, Jordan Rodriguez, with his hot tip of the week. And I would ask you how you're doing, but after seeing the picture of that fish you caught, I know how you're doing. You're probably doing pretty good.
Still floating, Jeff. Still floating. Floated all the way back home from Arizona.
Oh man. Well, you know what? It's that was great. I love to see it and love it when you share pictures and it's one of those kind of love-hate relationships. You're like, "Oh man, I love to see it, but golly, I wish I was the one that had caught that." So well, I've got the picture. We'll put it up here. We'll show it here and but let's get right into it, Jordan. What is that Tightlines 208 hot tip of the week?
Yeah, so it relates to this fish I caught, and for the listeners, it is an 11-pound, 6-ounce largemouth bass. I caught it while on a little spring break getaway down at Lake Havasu, beautiful lake on the Arizona-California border. I'd been there once before. It was a whole series of just crazy and unlikely events that led me to even being in the place where I was on a boat with a gentleman who I had just met, a local retired guy. I'm going to write about it. You can catch the column on Tightlines 208 here in the next day or two if you want the full story.
Cool.
But for the purposes of the hot tip of the week, and I think we've talked about this on a show or two in the past, Jeff, but it has to be said, and it relates to this story, is you just never can give up on a big fish.
Mm.
And really any fish, right? You should always just stick with it and try to solve the problem until it's over, right? Until that fish is either gone or landed, hopefully landed. But so the situation with this fish was I had an ultralight travel rod from home with a small reel, a small spinning reel, and 6-pound line. I had brought that with me because I had very little room in the car, and I thought I was going to be fishing just on shore, exploring by foot.
Sure.
It turned out that this gentleman, Greg, invited me to join him on his boat. He prefers to fish with a partner, so he was looking for someone to go with, and so was I. It was a perfect match, and like I said, a whole set of circumstances. But long story short, Greg and I are out fishing in the coves for largemouth. We'd caught a couple decent sized fish, like 2 3 pounders, and a friend of mine, Nick Young, who guides down there, who I wasn't able to fish with this time, but he had kind of filled me in on some details. Havasu, of course, is known for the record size red ear sunfish.
Yep.
And so he had told me they're really tough right now. They're not moved in shallow. It's hard to find them. But if you were to find one, this is the type of habitat to look at. And he described entrances of coves, 15 to 20 feet of water. They'll be on the bottom. You won't be able to see them, but those are places to look. Well, it just so happened that we came upon such a place while we were bass fishing in this cove. And I took that ultralight rod that I had brought, and I had a live night crawler, whole live night crawler, and I tossed it out into the deeper water and just let it sink to the bottom, thinking like, well, maybe there'd be a red ear down there. Well, sure enough, it gets picked up pretty quick. Line starts moving sideways, set the hook, and immediately I see just an enormous fish, over 2 feet long. And I thought it was a striper, a striped bass.
Sure. Sure.
We had been catching some striper earlier in deeper water, but just the sheer size of it, I just thought, this must be a striper. And it takes off. The first thing I do is I loosen my drag because I realize I'm on a huge fish and I got light gear. So I open it all the way up, just as loose as it goes, basically. And so the fish starts taking line and goes out to deeper water. Well, the fish jumps and shakes its head. And when it does that, I see that it's green, bright green, with a mouth the size of a 5 gallon bucket. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is a largemouth and like by far the biggest one I've ever encountered. So I know I'm undergunned on this thing, but again, you just keep with it and work the problem. For a while, I'm doing all right. It's staying in deeper water. There's not a lot of obstructions. I'm in pretty good shape, and I'm starting to think I might just get this thing tired out and be able to land this fish. Well, right as I'm thinking that, and I'm telling you, these big old fish are wily and they've got
Yep.
tricks. So it swims this big loop off to my right and starts going toward the shore. And I see it happening, and I'm like out loud saying, like, no, 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 don't go over there. and I'm leaning on it a little bit, but I can't lean too hard because I got this light line. I don't want to put too much pressure. So sure enough, she winds up going all the way to the shoreline and then swimming back toward the boat along the shoreline under the nastiest, gnarliest dead tree laying in the water, right? And then she just kind of sits there in like 2 feet of water. And I'm just sitting there thinking, what am I going to do now? I open my bail, right? So now I've got loose flowing line. If she moves, I'm hoping that the line is not too caught up in the tree and she can continue to take line. And I'm like, I got to get in. I've got to get in and get this fish, but I can't get in now or I'll spook her and, she'll freak out and take off and for sure break the line. So fortunately, she swims off into deeper water and I can't see her anymore, but she's still on. And I'm like, all right, I'm going in. So I give my phone to Greg and I give the trolling motor remote control to him as well because I had been driving. It's like the one you wear around your neck.
Right.
So I got those things. I say, just stay here. I'm getting in. So I get in. It's about waist high water, and I just start tearing this tree apart. Fortunately, it was dead and like way dead. So with some just manual pressure with my hands, I'm able to break off these branches. And it's just the whole puzzle of like the line goes under here, over here, through here. And rather than try to like solve every little piece of it, I'm just ripping branches apart, throwing them up on the bank, and trying to get as much of my line free as I can. After, these things are always tricky. One of the things people ask you is like, well, how long did all this take? And the truth is, I don't know.
Right.
It could have been 2 minutes. It could have been 15, right? It's just like you're in this moment and you're just trying to stay in the moment and solve the problem. But what felt like several minutes of tearing this tree apart, I get the line free and clear. I'm like, okay, sweet. So I jump back in the boat and I grab my line or I grab my rod and I go to start to reel. Well, I see now my line has been wrapped around my rod several times
Oh no.
from all this nonsense I've been doing in the tree, right? So, but again, just like staying in the moment, staying as calm as you can about it, noticing this before I start to reel and taking an extra, 30 seconds to unwrap all the tangles, get it all around my guides, everything. So now it's free and clear. I close the bail. I take an extra look, confirming no longer in the tree, no longer wrapped around my own rod. It's not under the boat. It's not anywhere near the trolling motor. We start to reel again. And just the relief and happiness to feel the weight of that fish was still there. And I think she must have just been kind of tired out and or thought she was off
Right.
because there was no more pressure. So she just kind of went out in deep water and hung out. And then I was able to reel her in from there. We had a pretty dinky net on board. So Greg looks at me and says, I don't think she's gonna fit. I said, nope, don't even try. So I got her boat side, went for the lip grab, got her in the boat, and just kind of melted into a state of fishing happiness and euphoria to actually see and get hands on just a magnificent, magnificent animal. Um, 11 pounds, 6 ounces was the official weight. It was over 26 inches long. It turned out that this was a lake record for largemouth bass in the 90 plus year history of Lake Havasu. And I don't think I'm going to get my name officially next to the record because I chose to let the fish go rather than take it ashore for like an official measurement on a certified scale. But we had some bass guys had come and like watched this whole thing unfold, and they came over with a very nice, very expensive tournament grade digital scale. So I feel good about the weight and the measurements that we got. But for me, it's not about having your name posted online in a record book. It's just about the experience of catching and importantly releasing such a magnificent animal. And but again, stay with it because there was many times where it had been easy to give up or to kind of panic and make a wrong move. And even having said all that, like I feel like I did all the right things, but there was still so much luck involved. So many things had to kind of break my way. in order to get this fish in the boat, especially on the gear that I was using. Um, but the luck will carry you so far, but there's a lot of things you can do also to just stick with it and try to complete that catch. So, like I said, I'm going to write up the whole story, and it'll be on tightlines208.com here shortly. But, the next time you hook a big fish, just stick with it. If something bad happens, it swims in a bad spot, just keep working the problem until it's hopefully it's solved, or if it ends in heartbreak, at least you did everything you could, because these opportunities don't come along super often, right? Even for those of us who love it and do it as much as we can. So it's just important to try to capitalize when that fish of a lifetime comes along.
Oh, that's awesome. You know what's funny is I knew you caught the fish, but I'm sitting here listening to the story, and I'm clenching my fingers together as you're telling the story, because even though I know you caught it, I'm still expecting the thing to get off, because that's what happens when you get in these situations a lot of times, right? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I thought, well, that's it, like it's going to be really, really tough now. And this tree, and it probably sounds like a fishing tale and a yarn and all that, but I just, I think you know me well enough. Hopefully the listeners have enough trust. It's like, this is like one of the nastiest trees you've ever seen. Just branches everywhere. It wasn't just like wrapped around a log one time. It was like in there, in there. So, in that instance, getting in and busting that thing apart was the only option, right? And you take an extra second and think about this before you like do something crazy. It's like, no, this is the only way, or the best chance I have of trying to do this. And I've done similar things before. I've lost fish in big, huge bushes, and like gone in and dug them out. And I can think of ones where, yeah, we prevailed and pulled, some 5 pound lunker largemouth out of a brush pile at Lake Lowell. And I can think of another one where I did all the same things and lost a fish, that I never even saw or know how, exactly how big it was at a Waihe reservoir.
yeah.
So, they don't all end in triumph, but, in order for some of them to break your way, is just keeping that head, staying in the moment, and doing everything within your power, to get to the finish line.
Yeah, for sure. You definitely got to have that patience. Well, love the story. And we posted the picture. Hopefully the fans enjoy that as well, too. Make sure you check that story out on Tightlines 208. I know we talked a little bit about it last week, but one of the things that you do is you teach these classes on how to fish, and how do the listeners and the viewers get to know more about what classes you have coming up, Jordan?
Yeah, so April's going to be a big month for us. I have, actually, fittingly, my bass class. It's called All About That Bass, and that is happening on April 11th at Idaho Rod and Reel Tackle Shop. So I still have some seats left in that one. It's one of my favorite classes. I say that a lot, I feel like, but I really have a special place in my heart for bass fishing, and it's probably what I do more than anything else. So I just really love that class, and a lot of good information, a lot of good memories of teaching that class, and having other people over the years catch the bug and go out and do the bass thing. So join us for bass class. You won't regret it. It's a really good time, and that is on April 11th. And then on April 24th, I have a brand new class. It's called Let's Go Trolling. So pretty self-explanatory. It's all about how to catch fish using your boat, with trolling applications. So we're talking kokanee, we're talking trout, we're talking some panfish, a variety of different trolling methods as well: down rigging, long lining, crankbaits, pop gear, all that stuff. So pretty excited to offer this for the first time. This is the first time we're offering this class, and it is selling out fast. I think I have 4 seats left as of this recording. So if you want to get on that, I would go right away to the website and make sure you get your spot reserved, because it's when I do new classes, I got a lot of kind of loyal customers who haven't had a chance to take it yet, and they tend to gobble up those seats pretty quick.
And I know you and I have talked trolling quite a bit. And it's, as I get older, I find that's a little bit easier for me. My hands get more arthritic, and casting repeatedly starts to hurt. So I love trolling. I love taking as many kids out as I can fishing, and trolling's a great way for kids too, because they don't have to cast, right? They can just be right there. So I love that class. I love that you're doing that, and I highly recommend that people do that. And I'm telling you, man, we've caught, my wife and I alone, we've caught some monster fish. We've caught 16-inch crappie. She caught a 32-inch bull trout at Lake Stanley trolling. So it's definitely a way to go. And you get a lot more bang for your buck if you're not having to cast as much. And especially if you're hitting some deeper water. So I love that class. I love it. I think it's great. Glad that you're doing that.
Yes, sir. Well, we're excited and look forward to seeing some listeners. If you come out to the class and you found out about it through the Gem State Fishing Report, let me know about that. I'd love to see where everybody's kind of finding Tightlines 208 and finding the classes. So let us know, and it's always fun to meet readers and listeners in the wild, as it were. And I always enjoy that. So.
Awesome. Well, he's Jordan Rodriguez, owner and creator of Tightlines 208, the fishing expert. And if you don't believe it, check out that picture of that huge bass he just caught. Jordan, he joins us each and every week. Thank you for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir, Jeff. Tightlines.
Do you want to be part of the show? Email us with questions or your fishing report from your last trip. Emails can be sent to gemstatefishing208@gmail.com. Send your pictures of your fish to myfish@gemstatefishing.com. And viewer questions at questions@gemstatefishing.com. Yeah, please send those pictures. In fact, if you do, we'll send you an Idaho Fishing Report koozie if we pick your picture to go on to the show. All right, let's get into some more reservoir levels and information there for you guys as we talk about the reservoirs that we've got coming up here. So we'll start over in the Magic Valley, as we do with each region. Lake Walcott sitting at 93% full with an elevation of 4244. The boat ramp is open. Littlewood is sitting at 78% full with an elevation of 5225. The Littlewood boat ramp is open. Milner is sitting at 69% full. There's no boat ramp information available currently for that. All right, let's head over to Treasure Valley and let's see what's happening there. First, CJ Strike. It's 100% full at a 54 gauge height. That doesn't change much, folks. But we'll let you know about it every week. Anderson Ranch. We're starting to see these reservoirs get full. Anderson Ranch is sitting at 89% full, then an elevation of 4186. All boat ramps are open. Arrow Rock's currently sitting at 79% full, then an elevation of 3197. Both the high water and low ramps are open. Lucky Peak at 70% full with an elevation of 3023. Spring Shores 1, 2, and Slips, along with Turner Gulch Ramp, are open at this time. Lake Lowell is sitting at 71% full, but with an elevation of 2526. The ramps are open, but I do the air quotes because motorized and non-motorized boating is only allowed April 15th through September 30th. So you got about another 15 or so days before you can put those boats out there. But won't be too much long. 2 more reports and you'll be able to do that. So that's going to be your reservoir level and boat ramp information for the Treasure Valley. We'll slip over into Oregon because you guys have asked for the Oahe updates. It's 89% full with an elevation of 2663. All boat ramps are open. All right, let's head up that double nickel to Cascade. Cascade sitting at 74% full with an elevation of 4821. All ramps are open except for French Creek. Deadwood is at 66% full, an elevation of 5316. The Cozy Cove boat ramp is open. Man Creek is at 81% full with an elevation of 2881. Both the north and south ramps are open. All right, let's head over to the Ore-Ida border there, the Snake River. On Brownlee, what I can tell you right now is that they are sitting at 2049. A full pool is considered 2077. So right now, Woodhead and Moonshine Mine. Of course, Moonshine Mine is over on the Oregon side. Woodhead is on the Boise side, or the Idaho side. Both those are open. There's 3 usable feet of ramp below the Woodhead Park boat ramp and 7 usable feet below the Moonshine. And that's going to do it for your regional update. Make sure you visit us at gemstatefishing.com for the links for all the information we provide here. You can also contact us through the site. All right, another thing, a new series we're doing each week is a spotlight on Idaho fishing waters. And this week, we're going to take you over to a very little known reservoir in the eastern part of the state. And this one is called Condie Reservoir. It's one of 10 reservoirs within 15 miles of the city of Preston. If you drive about 10 miles north on the Idaho 34 and look for a sign that signals for roads for the Condie Reservoir. If you're coming from Preston, you'll turn left on that Condie Reservoir Road, and you'll travel about a mile to that boat ramp. Now, I'm going to tell you guys this here right now. Condie Reservoir Road has very deep ruts the closer you get to that ramp. And you kind of go in. It's pretty easy to get to it. But when you get a little bit closer in, those ruts get pretty deeper, so you may want to consider taking a higher clearance vehicle. There are 86 surface acres. The lake is about a half a mile wide and about 3/4 of a mile long. So it's not really big, but it's big enough that you can get out there in your kayak or small craft. The only camping here is dispersed, and folks, this is the dictionary definition of dispersed camping. The only bathroom I saw when I was there last was a porta potty. So if you go camping, be prepared to pack out as needed. There are very few amenities here. There's no fish cleaning station. There's no dock or beaches. And the only boat ramp here, let me put that picture up for you. The only boat ramp there is, while it's still concrete, it's still pretty primitive. Like I said, there's no docks the last time I was there. So that's pretty much going to be it. I will tell you this. It's a great little reservoir. And but because it's just nobody goes there. It's really kind of out of the way. I will say this, because of the rough and rutted road, you're not going to want to take a big boat, and I don't think you have much clearance into that ramp anyway, as you can see on the picture. So maybe a kayak or a smaller vessel, such as a John boat. I took my my little V-hull. I got a little 14-footer V-hull I took there, and so those can be good, but just remember, going down that road, it's going to be, you're really going to have to watch your axle. You don't want it to bottom out. Here's what I know what's in there: yellow perch and largemouth bass. And that's pretty much it. That's what you're going to want to fish for. Now, this is one of many irrigation reservoirs in this area. If you want to fish this early, because it will drain down as the summer comes along. If you're playing reservoir bingo, this is definitely one you want to get on your list. This is a great body of water to do that. Or if you want to be alone, you're not going to have a whole lot of crowds there. This is your reservoir. If you're going to be in the area anyway, I definitely highly recommend you get over there. I have a sign, took a picture of the sign. This is a trophy lake, so there is limits to how much you can take and the size. These change, so this was from last year when I took this picture. So bass limit is 2 and none under 20 inches. So, and as our friend Jordan Rodriguez has talked about before, here in Idaho, that pretty much means you're not going to take anything home. But if you do, because it's a trophy lake, if you catch something, you might have a small chance of catching something that's pretty close to there. So that's Condie Reservoir. Like I said, it's over near Preston, and that's just a new thing we want to do for each week. Highlight a body of water that you may not know a whole lot about. All right, let's get into our stocking reports here, because we want to get in there and let you know how things are looking on our stocking. So let's just jump right into that with our Idaho fishing game, of course. First of all, let's go over in the Magic Valley. Where are they going to be stocking? They're going to be stocking at Hagerman, March 25th through the 29th. So by the time you watch this, they will have already stocked about 875 fish. And then also in Hagerman on the Riley Creek Pond will be another 875 fish. So you got a good chance out there. Get out there either to Oster Lake or to Riley Creek Pond. That'll be a good place that you can get out and maybe catch some fish, especially for the kids. Over on the Boise side, in the southwest area, Lucky Peak Reservoir, 6,775 fish are going to be stocked. Man Creek Reservoir, 2,400. Riverside Pond is getting 600. Williams Pond getting 450. And my kids' pick of the week, this is what I'm going to do each and every week, because taking kids fishing is important. And they just want to catch something. They don't care how big it is. They just want to see something wiggling off the end of that hook. So my kids' pick of the week is Park Center Pond. That's in downtown Boise. And would definitely, if you want to help the kids catch some fish, it's a good time to do it with that. So, all right, well, let's get into our tournaments. There's only a couple this Easter weekend. And the first one is one I wish I could have got into. Would have been fun to get into, but just not in the books for me this weekend. But Saturday, March 30th, there will be the Idaho Derbies LLC 4th annual April Fool's Crappie Classic. The heaviest bag of 20 crappie wins. It's white crappie. It's at CJ Strike, and they'll be using the Black Sands boat ramp. Also on Saturday, March 30th, the Idaho Bassmasters will be at the Brownlee Reservoir using the Woodhead boat ramp. And that is a bass tournament, and that runs from 5:30 in the morning to 4:30 in the afternoon. And that is going to be it for your fishing tournaments this weekend. You can find us on Facebook groups, or you can follow us on Twitter at Idaho_report. All right, let's get into those moon phases now. The last quarter is April 1st, so Monday. The next new moon rolls around April 8th. Perigee is on April 7th, and apogee is on April 19th. Again, reminder, perigee is when the moon is closest to the Earth. Apogee is when it's furthest away. So I'm really excited about that new moon lining up with perigee. I think it's going to be some good fishing here next weekend. Next week, so definitely want to make sure you're here for that. So let's talk about those peak fishing times. So I'm seeing Friday. First of all, let me back up. There's not a whole lot of good peak fishing times right now. Everything's really kind of, with this being in the last quarter right now, and then the weather, it's just making it a little difficult. But there's a few good peak fishing times on Friday, 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Saturday, 6 a.m., 6 p.m. Sunday, 6:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. When you get into next week, Monday, 7 a.m. and 7:30 p.m. Tuesday, 9 a.m. and 8:30 p.m. Wednesday, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. And then Thursday, 4:30 a.m., also 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. So you're really going to start to see those come back up next weekend. I think it's going to be a much better opportunity next weekend, but, get out there and do some fishing. All right, it is time for my grade. Well, we have seen so much more rain than normal this March. I was watching the news the other day, and we've just really blown by what our normal is. But that's good. It means it's going to fill the reservoirs up. And this weekend is only going to add to those numbers, unfortunately. So being in the last quarter and the sketchy weather, unfortunately, I'm going to have to give this weekend and the early part of next week a D, sadly. These grades should get better going forward as we kind of get into that, but that's just kind of where we are with that right now. So that's my grade for the weekend. All right, folks. Well, just want to let you know I've enjoyed having you on the show. Thanks to Jordan for being here. I appreciate you guys continuing to support us. Remember, you can watch us on YouTube, which you probably are right now. You can listen to it on your favorite podcast platform. Or you can even just go right to the website and download the audio file for yourself. We'd love to have you guys listening to that, everything. Remember, send me those pictures, and we'd love to highlight those pictures. And if your picture gets picked to be on the show, we will send you a free Idaho Fishing Report koozie, and you'll get to sport that. So, again, thanks for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful Easter weekend. And if you have the long weekend, then hopefully you can get out and enjoy it. And I'm Jeff Cullers for the Idaho Fishing Report, and I'll see you on the water.